What's up, everybody? It's Beyond the Pipe with Chris and Sean. Today we're smoking cigars, but we're going to talk about pipes and tobacco storage, maybe some do's and don'ts of tobacco storage, long term, short term, all sorts of
I've
stuff.
got a
Chris, what are you smoking?
Davidoff mini cigarillo.
Mini cigarillo,
It's like
so smaller
cigarette
than a
size.
regular cigarillo.
But they're good, and it's a little early in
cool.
the day for me to have a cigar. Well, early in the day for me to have a pipe. And I don't really want
Full-on
like a
cigar?
full cigar because like once we're done recording, I got to get back to work, and also because my kids might be playing in the backyard soon, and so everything's closed up. So
Gotcha. Well, I'm having a Surrogate's Cracker
that's a
Crumbs.
good one.
It's a smaller cigar. It's becoming one of my favorites. It's very delicious. Very nice and mild. I don't smoke cigars that often, but when I do, it's probably one of these.
Cool. All right. What are we talking about today?
So, tobacco storage. We see a lot of comments in a lot of the groups, and I get asked a lot too, like from newer pipe collectors, and like, how do you store your tobacco? Do I need to hydrate it? Do I need to have a Boveda pack? Does it need to be in my humidor?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. A lot of guys coming from cigars to the pipe world, they're kind of blown away. That's like, oh, you just stick it in a mason jar, it's good to go. But that's the reality of it. Is pipe tobacco doesn't need the same type of moisture retention, I guess. It just doesn't really need it. Now, if you're a new person, I'm sure most people listening to this are not new, but if you're a new guy, if you got bulk tobacco that you bought from your local shop, awesome. Support the local guys. Put it in a jar. Just get a mason jar, like any of these in the background here, and seal it up. It's good to go. Like, that's the way you can open it up, take what you want out of it,
forever.
and that's it. It's literally as simple as that. It'll last that way forever. As long as that seal stays good, you're pretty much good to go. So no need to stress about it. And you can do that for short-term use of that one tobacco, or if you love a bunch of a certain type and just get pounds worth and throw it in a whole bunch of jars and forget about it for 10 years, you're
forever.
golden. Yeah, as long as that seal stays good, which unless you have an obviously damaged mason jar, there's really no reason.
Yeah, I was just reiterating, like,
be a concern,
forever. It'll be fine forever. Like, don't trip about it. It'll be okay. Don't worry. It will never ever dry out until the end of time. Once that seal fails, and you have to understand too, these are made for storing food for a very long time. Like, that's the whole point behind these. That gum seal on the inside is not going to break down on its own. Even if you put it in like a salt cave, it still will be fine because that portion of the seal that's on the inside is still humidified. It's still going to be fine forever. So, yeah.
Yeah. The only times that I've ever had issues with jars, I was walking by my tobacco case and it was kind of in the sun and I smelled it. I was like, oh, that smells delightful. I shouldn't be smelling anything right now. What the heck? And I went through a bunch of jars and I finally found it. And I had one that the seal was bad because I stuffed too much tobacco in there and I had a pretty thick, coarse ribbon that had got stuck under there. And it was just enough air that over years and years and years, it was enough air exchange to pass through that it caused it to dry out. That's only happened one time. And as long as you're careful about it, you really don't got to worry about it. Just make sure that the seal's clean. Make sure you don't have tobacco sticking out of the edge. And
clean your rims, drop your cap on, drop your ring on, you're done. These don't have to be vacuum sealed. You don't have to heat them.
Pretty much it.
Don't can your tobacco.
No.
Ideally, as a side note, this is how much headspace you want in it. You could have a little bit more, but I wouldn't have less headspace than that. Like, don't cram it full.
Yeah. Now, what we're talking about there is tobacco goes through fermentation cycles occasionally, and it can get better, and it can age, and it can mellow out, and do a bunch of really cool stuff because there's little microbes and stuff in there, little yeasts that will cause fermentation sometimes, and it's even okay to like occasionally open up your jars, smell them, introduce some new air, introduce some new microbes and yeasts, and then seal it and forget about it again. It's kind of only helping it in a lot of ways. If you like, I did an experiment with this actually. One of my favorites is Sutliff Virginia Slices, and I had some from probably 7 or 8 years ago that I got a pound worth, jarred it, threw it in the back of my cellar, forgot about it. And back then, it might have even been longer than that. I had packed the jars full because I didn't have enough jars, and I didn't want to go buy more jars, and so I just packed everything I could in there. The tobacco didn't hardly age, like it did, but it didn't age as much as you'd think it would with 7 or 8 years on it. And I've had tobacco that I've had like a quarter full, and then over the course of a few years, it's like dark because it's aged well and it's fermented a couple times because it's got that headspace in it. So keep that in mind.
You can do that with any blend. So we'll go through some of the cans in a bit, but like if you have any sort of tins, you can open them up and you can throw them directly in a jar. That's probably the safest way actually to do that. Just make it a habit of having like a flat of, I like the quart jars, the wide mouth quart jars. I have some bigger ones.
Yeah. As long as it's a wide mouth, I'm cool with that.
Kind of a pain in the ass to store, like the big gallon jars. And I've done that in the past for like if I have 5 pounds of something that I buy and I just want to stash it away, don't have to worry about it. The quart jars are nice because then like once in a while, like if you had a large amount that you split up, you come back and you're like, oh, sweet, I have another jar of that. Because you lose track of them after a while. And so I always have like a flat or two of jars here. You can pop a tin. So like this tin of sixpence right now, I could probably leave this the way it is with the plastic top for like a good month or so heading into summer, and it'll be okay. I prefer my tobaccos all drier than normal. So pretty much any tobacco in any, well, I'll just drop that. Any tobacco in any tin is going to be wetter than I want it. And I do the microwave trick. But it's okay to store it wet. You just don't want it more wet. So like, don't do, I knew that was going to go out on me. Don't do the Boveda packs in your pipe tobacco ever.
Yeah, you don't want to add moisture.
They're already at a level of such high moisture that they're at such a level of high moisture that like if you do any more, you're at risk of molding and other weird bacterial introductions and growth. So you don't want that. So,
and flakes tend to be like they tend to retain their moisture,
and you'll be fine even if it is dry.
So like sixpence being a broken flake, yeah, it'll be fine. But sixpence being a broken flake like that does pretty well just in its tin once it's opened. In my shop for at least a couple weeks.
I'd be good for about a month.
I have a little drier climate than you. Yeah, I've got a little drier climate here in my shop. But ribbons will, they'll dry out a little faster. But that's fine. Smoke it. I've seen people say, well, you can rehydrate it with an apple slice because that's what my grandpa did. That's fine if you're going to smoke that tobacco right away. That is not for bulk storage. That is not like you don't want to do a big batch of stuff. If you felt so inclined to rehydrate or whatever, do a couple bowls worth at a time. Something you're going to smoke within a couple days. And that's a lot safer because you might, if you throw anything weird in there, even if you put distilled water, even if, as far as it's clean distilled water and you add it to something, you might have a huge plume of freaking mold in there a week later, 2 weeks later, a month later.
Just smoke it dry.
I wouldn't do anything like that.
It's not going to hurt anything. The times where times where people
you
get
can do
confused.
That too.
So like if you buy an old tin and it's usually like old McClellan's tins or whatever, like something like that, maybe even older than that, way older than that. Usually you kind of get a little bit of rust sometimes, and sometimes that rust can bite through and there'll be like literally a pinhole.
Yeah.
Now, if that tin was like, from like the 60s or the 50s or the 40s or even like the 80s, you can lose a lot of that moisture, and the tobacco is still completely viable. It still tastes good. It just doesn't have the same punch that it did because it lost all of its moisture, and along with that, possibly the oils and stuff like that. It'll still be good though. But yeah,
as long as it hasn't been introduced to
yeah.
something weird,
like in a flood.
If it had little tiny pinholes and it was in a flood,
Yeah.
or it's been stored in a musty basement,
Yeah,
don't do that. But for the most part, everybody don't stress about it.
Yeah.
Just smoke your tobacco. Jar it if you want to. Jar it if you don't. Now, another thing we see a lot of times is people asking about tin storage. Like, do I need to put all tobacco in jars? So, what's your thoughts on that,
There's a handful of options here. You've got like the C&D GLPs style cans. These have like a pull top. I'll show you on this one. I call these cat food tins, but so they got the pull top, the ring pull, and you just peel it back like a can of beans.
Yeah.
And these can be stored in a dry, cool place forever. You don't need to do anything with these.
Yeah. I've never had one of those.
No, they don't fail. Like they're good forever. So that would be like any of the McClellan's tins. As long as you don't see any surface rust, you're fine. If you buy a tin that's older and you're like, it's kind of rusty, I don't know, and you don't care about like saving it for financial, benefit or something to resell later, I would recommend popping the tin and jarring it immediately. If you see like obvious signs of rust, or if you shake it, so you can always tell, like the shake test, this is full, right? This isn't dry. You can hear it's kind of like a dull thud.
Yeah.
But then if you were to open up, see, same thing like this, that's dull. But certain jars, if they're dried out, they kind of feel lighter and they have more of like a tingle. I don't have a dry is this one? No, that's not dry. I don't have any dry tins here, but they'll sound like the stuff inside is drier and more like dusty.
It's hard to describe, but I get what you mean. Yeah, and they can break up into little particles too. Like if you shake it lightly and there's like little teeny tiny particles floating around in there, it might be dry.
Yeah.
And you might want to open it and check it out and see. And then jar it.
I don't know why I'm yawning. So those are the first set of tins, those C&D / Cornell and Deal. And there's a few other brands that use that too. The second set of tins that I want to talk about are all of these round semi screw top tins. These will keep their vacuum seal for a really long time, but they're a little more prone to popping. So if you drop it on the wrong way, inside of this is like a gummy seal also, and that's vacuum sealed, and that's what's keeping it in negative pressure. And then also these little slices on the side, these like faux threads, are what's keeping that lid down, just as an added security measure. These don't pop often, but they do. And I would recommend going through and just kind of checking on your tins every once in a while. Just go through and be like, okay, that seal's good. That seal's good. The reason I say this is because there are two types of tins that absolutely suck at holding seals. I would say these are better than most, but the quality of this metal is terrible.
Yeah.
And this is like usually Sam Gawith uses these.
There's a caveat to that though. If it's an old one,
the old ones are good.
Pretty good. So go through and like squeeze your. Oh, I zoomed my.
You can do that.
I zoomed this in. Anyway, apparently you can zoom it in. Anyway, squeeze the tins and see if they have some flex to them. If it's not sunken in, and you can flex it, it's probably popped. But the caveat was, in recent years, and Chris, do you remember what year Gawith started using different tins? Because they did use different tins. And they started shipping tins with a cardboard card in there, and that was supposed to
Yeah.
hold the structure of the tin apparently, and then they had a piece of plastic around it, and that was supposed to like hold it for
They're terrible.
shipping, I guess. So those aren't good. I would be very careful with anything like this from Gawith nowadays. Either vacuum seal it like this, or
for anyone who's listening,
another option.
we have a YouTube channel, Beyond the Pipe, where you can see all the stuff we're talking about.
Oh yeah.
And on here, we're trying to be as descriptive as possible, but you go over to YouTube.
I always forget about that. We got to talk to our listening audience too. Yeah. Anyway, so here I have a tin of Gawith. This is from 2019, and this is right around the time that they started doing that weird inner card thingy with the plastic. And so this one has actually got aluminum tape all the way around it. It's like HVAC tape. And that is sealed. Like there's no way that anything's
Did you put that on though?
So that's an option. If they're older.
Okay.
I did. Yeah. Yeah, I did. It was
okay.
The tin wasn't popped, but I feared that it might.
They're delicate.
So, yes, I put that on there. And that, yeah, they're delicate. I had a batch from Ernie at Watch City, and I think I got a couple dozen tins of Gawith, St. James, and something else. I can't remember. And it came to me, and all of them were popped. Every single one of the tins.
Yeah.
Like, what the shit? And Ernie, being the awesome dude he is, he's just like, dude, I'll just refund you these, and I'll send you more, because he's a swell guy. And so I was able to have mine, for the seller, and then I jarred them and everything. But that's a bummer about those tins. I actually contacted Gawith about it and asked them, and their response was a little funny. But basically, it was tough shit.
Well, the reason it's tough shit because they buy, when they buy the tins, they're buying like 100,000 of them at a time, and they come in like a shipping container, and it's like, you got them now.
They switched manufacturers. The original manufacturer went out of business, and they had to find a new one, and they came up with a solution, and that was fine. But their response was, our tobacco is meant to be enjoyed the way we ship it. It's not meant to be aged. That's what they told me. Now, whether that's true or an excellent way to spin the situation, I don't know. I prefer my tobacco aged, whether it's the way that they intended to be smoked or not, but something to keep an eye out for. Otherwise, your normal tins, like Chris just showed, your Pease style, C&D style, these
they're great. I think they're fantastic.
You don't really have to worry about that.
And what's nice about these is there's a lot of headspace. See, we're
just drop my ash.
Fucking noobs, but like, there's a lot of headspace. There's a lot.
I don't know how to smoke cigars.
For secondary fermentation, you'll find more often than not that these tins do change over time a significant degree. And
most of mine of sixpence like balloons. That are like ballooned out. They're balloons. They don't stand. They don't stack nicely anymore.
In the grand
which is cool. It's exciting.
Like these, they could be stored like this. They could be stored like this. It doesn't really matter. These are good. Throw them in a Rubbermaid tote. You're good. Just forget about them for 20 years. Then, like we were saying, so these are two examples of the tins. So like this one from Gawith, you can't really tell. It's hard to see it. So this one's Germain's. This one's Gawith. This is a much thinner steel, but still not as flimsy as like the new ones. Like, this is still a really good tin. The new ones, like I had some Bob's Chocolate Flake that I bought in I think like 2019 or something like that. And those tins were like tinfoil. Like, they collapsed under their own vacuum.
If you guys know what year, if you guys remember what year that change happened with the tins, comment in the comments here and let us know. I think it was right around 2018, 2019, 2020 maybe. I don't remember exactly, but I'll have to go back and look, because I was messaging the gal that runs the shipping part of Gawith, and that's what she said, was that they shipped it with a new manufacturer.
The last tin style that I want to talk about, which is actually my favorite tin style, are these guys from Germain's, the little gold bricks. And
The little
these things
ones,
are very well known for not keeping their seal. These will pop for no reason. These are filled to the brim. They won't even shake because they're just packed full of the blend, which makes them.
It's a good reason to
These
open
I would
them, I
open
guess.
unless you want to have like that secondary market value. I still think these are the best.
Yeah.
I love these tins just because they're cool. Like it's just a cool little tin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They do pop.
I've got a
though.
couple that
so
size.
These are the ones you really want to have to keep an eye on. And if you feel like you don't want to, then what I would do is take, one or two of these, put them in a vacuum bag, vacuum seal it with like a, what's that? Like a food saver type thing, and vacuum seal them in a bag. And that'll help keep them. Yeah. Capstan had them. Yeah.
We got a little one of Capstan.
So they're the little, for the guys listening and not watching, they're like the little tiny rectangular ones that, and those are fine too.
They're cool.
But
I should open this.
Then you have the oddball tins. You've got your Solani Silver Flake, which is like that clamshell, larger, thin metal, and inside there's like a cellophane bag that has the tobacco in it.
They're shipping that with the intention of you opening it right away.
Yeah,
like that's not gonna be for storage. So, and then there's display options. You can just stack all your stuff. I got barrister cabinets, which is what's behind me here, and that is, legal cabinets, I guess people would call them. And I like that because I can see everything. I can organize it by, shelf, and it's just an awesome way to display your tobacco. What's our other option?
The last one is the Esoterica bags.
I forgot about those.
And these things are fantastic. I mean, I think this is an older one, but these are great just in general. Like, you can keep them like this pretty much forever. Some people like to double bag them, put them in a whatchamacallit, a food saver bag, just so it's like a little bit more protection.
Yeah.
These don't really fail. Another one that's similar to that is like the boxes of Stokeby, where it's like the box with the Ziploc inside that has the flakes in it. And then you've got like the cardboard, and then you've got the cellophane on that. I would take that whole thing and throw that in a food saver bag and vacuum seal that and leave it alone. Just vacuum seal it to where it just is suction. So
or
you can
break it up and jar it.
Or break it up and jar it. Mm-hmm. Storage when it comes to these tins, what do you think?
I like to stack mine. I have barrister cabinets. That's what's behind me here. Some people would call them legal cabinets. I don't know what they're for. I just found them. And I stack all my stuff so I can see it. I kind of organize it by shelf, by type, and maybe I usually put my stuff to age in the back of the shelf so I don't have to, search for it and hope that I'm rotating. I try to always have the oldest stuff that I want to smoke, but also put some away to where I'm not going to run out of the really good stuff. And then, 10 years from now, I'll have a nice surprise. Oh, that's a 10-year-old tin. So that's pretty cool. I designed a display. It's up here above my head in the picture here I've got it for a 6 slot for the regular size round tins, and I have a 5 slot in the larger size tins. And that is actually a wall hanger or a shelf mount, or like a shelf sitter. And so you can get those at reampipes.com. And I just actually shipped out 12 of those to a guy today. He's going to build like a whole wall display of all the tins that he likes. And I did that with the intention of people putting sets together. So like all of the birds of a feather set of tobaccos, or all of the Pipe Force, or the Christmas cheer, not Christmas cheer,
Yeah.
the Kringle Flake tins. And I just put Escudo in there because that's what I like. So you can check those out. But lots of options. Just don't overthink it. Make your tobacco room, smoking lounge look cool. Make it to where you want to be in there. You get to admire all your ridiculous amounts of tobacco that you probably don't need.
I don't even
or
keep
will
my
ever
tins
smoke,
in here. So
but
like I'll have like the very best stuff. Like that's why I grabbed these, like some of the nicer, Germains and McClellans and stuff. Like I'll keep like most of like the really nice go-to stuff in here. And then in the garage, I'll have like a Rubbermaid tote section. Like I have a rack where I keep everything. And that's like a really super well insulated building. It's fireproof, which is kind of funny. Like the code here, when you build a garage, it has to be fireproof. So when they build your garage I think it's California.
Yeah.
I think it's California.
At least fireproof.
There's no
separate
there's
from
no
the
wood,
house,
dude. Like
a
it's
firewall
all
built.
composite shit. So like your roofing has to be like
for the whole
I
garage.
think there's like a couple. There's a
Oh
couple
wow. Okay.
joists that are wood, but like everything else, the drywall is fireproof. The siding is fireproof. Which makes it complicated when you want to like hang something. Like if you have like a fixture you want to hang on the side, like a bird feeder or something, like you can't really drill through it easily. It's really thick, like plasticky rock composite.
Gotcha.
And that building honestly has just become like a good place to like, we put wine there, we put tobaccos there, we put, I don't really have any whiskeys that I age or, keep in storage, but,
yeah,
cool, dry place. Rubbermaid totes. I like the blue ones. They're super durable. They don't break down over time. You could throw them under your house. That's a great place to put them too. If you live in like a dry climate, that they're not going to get flooded.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I do. I throw them in Rubbermaid totes. And then sometimes like you'll go out there and be like, oh, I'm looking for a new blend, or you're reorganizing, you crack open your bin. You're like, oh shit, I forgot that I had like this tin here. And like, I kind of want to break that open. And the longer you go, that I'm finding now is I am finding stuff in jars that I tinned in like 2005, 2006. So I have like literally like 20-year-old tobaccos that I bought and threw in mason jars, which makes me feel really old.
Yeah.
Like I've been smoking a pipe for more than half of my life now. That's freaking weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I've been smoking a pipe for over a third of my life, I guess.
Getting old.
Yeah. That is weird. But that's the cool thing about tobaccos is they don't go bad. Take some fairly simple precautions, plan ahead a little bit. I personally, the way that I would collect tobaccos is if I was going to try something new, I would buy at least 2 tins. I would put 1 tin in the cellar and forget about it. Date it if it doesn't have a date on it. And then smoke the other one. And if you liked it, after the whole tin, buy a dozen more if you can. Buy a couple more. Throw it in there. Every time you buy anything new to try, get at least 2. And then you'll have some that's, in your cellar, and then you forget about it. And maybe you'll have something to trade somebody. Or 10 years down the road, you're like, oh, cool, I like this.
Yeah,
I should have got more. There's never been a time where I've thought, I shouldn't have bought so much of this tobacco, because it's never going to get cheaper. It's never going to be more readily available. You might as well
have a nice little collection of shit for your wife to throw away when you die. Is really what it could.
Yeah,
a big one too.
Hopefully, your kids end up liking pipes, and then they have a really awesome cellar of tobacco to start with.
I can't even imagine the stuff.
Unless it gets thrown away.
Well, I have 2 girls, so it's like that's not going to happen. I'm hoping, hope for a son-in-law, right? Or a grandson. Grandson would be good, because then they're just like, oh shit, dude, you have like a full-on like primo cellar here. But that may not be the case. But at the end of the day, like Sean's idea of buying, buy 2 or 3 tins, crack one, see if you like it. If you don't like it, you can, find places to put it. But at the end of the day, like and this is a little guy tip, because this is important for guys. Whether it be metals or Bitcoin or tobaccos or pipes or fishing gear, or you have a collection of bottle caps or whatever, things that are valuable, that you know are valuable, that you know about, that your wife doesn't give a damn about or wants to hear about, make sure you have a close guy friend that knows about what you have and knows, like, so like if something happens to you and your wife, what to
Like
do with
what
it.
to
Because
do with it.
you know, specifically with pipes and tobaccos, that's something we deal with all the time. Like, if something happens to you, I don't know, freak wood chipper accident, or you got eaten by a shark or something, whatever, your wife is going to be like, oh, what's a bunch, you know, what's all this shit? This isn't worth anything. Because they don't know. Most of them don't know, you know, the intricacies of it.
And let's be fair here, most guys are downplaying how much they've spent
That's
on
the
their
other
pipes
side.
and tobacco.
Like,
Oh, well, he told me
yeah,
this was worth $50,
yeah,
not 500.
but you don't want that to, like, you don't want that to just be like, oh yeah, it goes up at the garage sale, right? Like, let Joe Blow, you know, your friend,
Yeah.
say, hey, you know, if something happens to me, you know, you write it down, put it in the safe, whatever, tell your wife, this is who you contact for this stuff. This is who you contact for this stuff. And that way you've got a trusted person who can, like, help
Yeah.
your family recoup the cost or whatever. Maybe you have, you know, some sort of wealth where you don't really have to sell off your stuff. But I've seen both situations. Like, I've seen, you know, old collectors die, and then their wives are like, I don't know what this is worth. And then, like, the vultures come in and they just scoop up all the stuff for pennies on the dollar. You don't want that happening to your stuff. So with anything you have,
yeah, protect your investment, no matter how small.
And you have, like, your eccentric hobbies and stuff that you're into, make sure that you have a friend that can, like, jump in and be like, yo, I know what to do with these. Like, I have one for my equipment for my shop. I have one for my pipes and tobaccos, and, you know, every other thing that I'm into. Like, I have people that can jump in and be like, yo, this is what Chris wants to do with this. You know, this is how you sell this. This is how you can get your money out of this, because my wife's not going to know what to do with it. Look at that. We even did some like estate planning.
I think it's a good point. Well, I think that's a pretty good time to wrap this up. If you guys have any questions or comments or your own suggestions on cellaring tobaccos, let us know what your favorite is. Like, what is the most of one tobacco you have in your cellar? Yeah. Comment that below. Yeah. I think for me right now, I'll have to get back to you.
I could tell you
go
mine.
through all my stuff.
I've got more of Lane Andullo
so.
than anything else.
Yeah, you talked about that before. That's a good one. So, all right, guys. Thanks for watching. Let us know if you have any questions, comments. Email us at beyondthepipe1@gmail.com. It's beyondthepipe1@gmail.com. And be sure to subscribe wherever. We're on all the platforms.
Adios.
All right, later.